It has significant impacts globally, of course, but also particularly on Europe. And Germany, as an export nation, has, of course, suffered. We suffered in COVID times, and then the war hit in 2022. So these had really significant impacts. The US-China war has been very difficult for the European Union indirectly, but now also we're seeing direct effects when we look at the relationships between the European Union and China. China has decided to restrict exports of significant products like rare earths into the European Union, so Chinese companies have to apply for licenses to export those. On the other side, the European Union has decided to do various things too. The CHIPS Act is, of course, top of our mind because the European Union wants to lessen the dependency, but at the moment, the market is just 10% in the European Union, and we know that through that mechanism, at best, we can reach 20%. So again, we're seeing lessening the dependencies is tricky, it's difficult. Nevertheless, the European Union tries. One other point to make reference to is, I think, the Subsidies Act, the Foreign Subsidies Act, which, of course, is a strong mechanism as well. Again, trying to see where is money flowing in, from where, and are those companies investing actually subsidized by governments or not?
Let me specifically ask you about the car industry, because we are seeing at least a growing debate of what Europe could do against these highly subsidized cars coming into the European Union. What is the background noise you're hearing?
So definitely the European Commission has decided to take steps. We're seeing that investigation into battery electric vehicles. So that is a very concrete example where the European Commission decided to investigate, because apparently the cars imported into the European Union from China are 20% less expensive. So the European Commission has decided concretely to take steps here, but also when we're talking about mergers and acquisitions, but also public tenders, the Foreign Subsidies Act specifically refers to those and wants to really see and understand the market better. So there was approvals needed going forward.
We're talking a lot also about the lessened attractivity of Europe as a place to invest versus the United States, because the US came up with that Inflation Reduction Act. Do you see real impact when it comes to investment flows from that IRA?
We're definitely seeing in the last 5 years a lessening of FDI into the European Union. We also see some positive signs. For example, France is doing much better. If you look at projects, France is #1 at the moment, so not calculated by employments, but projects. So yes, definitely we have been struggling. But the question is, where does this come from? Is it an environment, a global environment, or is it actually something structural? I would say the European Union continues to be very attractive when we look at infrastructure, well-trained staff, legal certainty, and that is really key for investors. But of course, we also see, on the other hand, bureaucratic hurdles. We see licensing approvals taking too long, obviously, and we are seeing mechanisms like the Inflation Reduction Act in the US, which at least triggers discussions around long-term investments that may go to the United States instead of the European Union. I would still differentiate here, because if we look at those transactions, they are long-term. So standalone, I would not say that the IRA has a significant impact. Also take into account what we also have, the Green Deal, the EU Innovation Fund, etc. That we have several mechanisms ourselves. Also, I think we have to take into account the high energy prices, and I want to reiterate the bureaucratic hurdles that we have and the approval requirements that take way too long.
Do you think there will be an improvement of all these sort of negative things, also given that we're heading into the super election year next year?
I think that it is on top of mind of every politician right now, because the business leaders reiterate that point again and again. And I think it's in our very best interest to really try hard to lessen bureaucracy and lessen the time that we need to get approvals.